Ladies and gentlemen, we just thought we'd let you know the next fight in Estevan is March 3rd. That's right, Estevan. Hard Knocks is coming back for some hardcore MMA action on March 3rd. We hope to see you all there. And now, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for our title fight. Get our lovely ring girl in here to showcase our 145-pound title.
The lovely Brooke.
This is our 8th bout of the evening and is our title match. This School of Hard Knocks fight is an amateur bout in the 145-pound weight class and is brought to you by the Tap House, the official weigh-in venue for the School of Hard Knocks 16 fighters. And now, let's meet the fighters. He's fighting out of Calgary, Alberta. Please welcome Keith MacDuff.
Keith MacDuff with the Elite Training Center in Calgary, Alberta, coming down to cage side wearing his traditional Ninja Turtle garb, as he has come down to the cage in every fight wearing his Ninja Turtle gear. Donatello, his Ninja Turtle of choice with the purple band. And no bow staff for Keith MacDuff as he comes into the cage.
Well, Donatello was known as the smart one, and that can very well describe Keith MacDuff. He doesn't have the physical attributes that most fighters have. He's very lanky. In fact, I think that's going to be his new nickname. I think his father was mentioning.
Lanky Keith MacDuff, yes, as right. I continually refer to him here.
But Keith MacDuff being lanky, you know, he uses that to his advantage. A lot of moves are designed for guys that are really strong, have those really short arms. But there is a certain skill set of moves designed for the longer fighter. And Keith MacDuff has found those moves, and he's perfected them. And, you know, at the same time, he knows that he has stuff to work on. He's joined Elite Training to work on his striking. And, you know, he wants to move on and gain the successes that he's had as an amateur and possibly move on to a pro one day.
Yeah, at 6'3", probably the tallest 145-pounder you'll ever see over the age of 18. Keith MacDuff enters the cage.
And his opponent. He's fighting out of Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. He is Rod Busler.
So relentless Rod Busler comes down to the cage again, 4-6, weighed in at 144 pounds. He's had lots of time to think about this fight. Had to get down underweight. A pretty big cut for him over the last couple days, losing 17 pounds as he got set for this fight.
Yeah, he lost 17 pounds in 5 days, and he does that through very little eating and a lot of sauna work. You end up sweating out a lot of that weight, and it does have an effect on your energy system. At the same time, you know, Keith MacDuff had a very easy cut because he only really weighs about 150 pounds, so about 5 pounds for him. And Rod Busler is going to have a distinct size advantage. You know, not in height, but he's a lot thicker build. He's had about 2 months' notice for this fight, so he's really prepared really well. And the one thing he says about fighting younger fighters like Keith MacDuff is all amateurs are young.
Well, and including, he includes himself in that, been fighting since 2001, and to put that in perspective, when Rod Busler started fighting as an amateur, his opponent was 12 years old. So Keith MacDuff, quite a bit younger than Rod Busler, and quite the more experienced fighter is Rod Busler, although you can
And now for the formal fighter introductions.
Yeah.
In the Power Dodge blue corner, he's 4-0 as an amateur. He's 21 years old and stands 6 feet 3 inches tall. He weighed in at 145 pounds. fighting out of Elite Training Center in Calgary, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter Keith the Magician MacDuff. And his opponent in the Boston Pizza red corner. He's 4-6 as an amateur and is 41 years old. He's 5 feet 11 inches tall and weighed in at 144 pounds. Fighting out of Impact Cardio in Saskatoon, please welcome Hard Knocks fighter, Relentless Rod Busler. This bout will be contested under amateur rules. The referee in charge of the Hard Knocks action is Mr. Elvis Lyons.
Gentlemen, fighters to center their cage. I want a good, clean, hard fight. Give it everything you got for all 5 rounds if possible. If you're gonna touch them up now. Back to your corners.
So Rod Busler and Keith MacDuff get set to fight in just the second ever title fight here in the Hard Knocks Fighting Championship as they face off for the 145-pound amateur belt.
Yeah, it's 5 rounds here as well, which is their first fight tonight. It's 5 rounds, the championship always doing that. Keith MacDuff immediately going for that submission, again, using those long arms to his advantage.
Busler inside control as MacDuff tries to scramble out.
Yeah, Busler doing a really good job. If you notice, Keith MacDuff is pushing off, but then Busler immediately tucks his knees right into Keith MacDuff's side. That's a really excellent move to keep yourself nice and tight, which is important inside control to prevent escapes.
And you can see those long legs coming into advantage for Keith MacDuff as he's managed to work Busler into a body triangle despite the fact that Busler had him down, and now he's worked that into a dominant position on top, and we'll see if he's able to get his wrist free and posture up here as he does have a mount position.
Yeah, he's putting a lot of pressure there. If you look, he's got a guillotine and he's on top here. The mouth guards come out, which is really an act of desperation at this point when you have little air, but Busler fighting him off.
MacDuff has one arm on Busler's neck and does have that guillotine locked in deep. We'll see whether or not Busler's able to get out of it. He does pop his head free and now finds himself in the guard of Keith MacDuff.
Yeah, Busler showing a lot of tenacity, being able to hold on to that. Basically, it's all about guts, holding on and slowly working your way out, working your carotid artery and your neck out from that position. But again, Keith MacDuff very dangerous on the ground.
Yeah, Keith MacDuff has secured a couple submissions from his back so far in Hard Knocks Fighting, and he continues to work here from the bottom. Rod Busler on top and trying to advance his position.
Yeah, he's driving that shoulder into the face of Keith MacDuff. Again, one of those things that doesn't do any real damage, but it causes some concern and causes a little bit of discomfort. And so when the striking comes on later in the fight, he's going to be having that extra bit of damage from the pressure done by the head and shoulder of Rod Busler on that jaw.
Did land a punch there earlier. The second one doesn't connect though, as Busler continues to work from the dominant position here in our 145 amateur title fight.
Yeah, there's a little bit of blood coming out of Keith MacDuff's mouth, and that's to be expected considering he's been punched in the mouth a couple times by Rod Busler. But he looks very calm and collected down on the bottom there. He's not being frantic, which is a good sign of a very veteran fighter, despite only 4 fights and only being 21 years old.
Tries to throw his leg up, looking to isolate an arm in an arm bar. A big slam there onto the shoulders of Keith MacDuff by Rod Busler as he tries to free his arm, and he tries to pick up MacDuff again, showing big strength there. The 145-pounder throwing the arm down as MacDuff tried to find the arm bar, was unable to do so. A good round from Rod Busler as he likely took that first round, having the dominant position for the majority of the first round.
Yeah, did he do a ton of damage? Not really, but he was busy the whole time. And Keith MacDuff did have a couple of great submission attempts. The problem about that armbar, and the reason that he wasn't able to finish it, is the pressure of Keith MacDuff's basically his groin region. He's using that cup to put that pressure on that arm to be able to tilt out. The problem was the cup wasn't right up against the shoulder, at that point, which is where it needs to be at the start to be able to free that arm up. And so you're really only putting pressure across a bone as opposed to across a joint.
So a solid first round here in our title fight, one of 5 potential rounds here in the title bout. Both fighters get set for round number 2 in our 8th fight of the evening, our title fight at 145 pounds amateur.
Yeah, look for Keith MacDuff to come out in this round and really push a little bit more action. I think his corner was telling him here, and he is already coming forward aggressively, but he needs to push the action.
Not sure what happened there. It looks as though Busler's knee may have buckled. A stoppage from the referee to let him recover. Thought it may have been a knee. We had MacDuff throw a knee. Warned is Keith MacDuff for throwing that knee. So not, I guess it didn't land on the head enough to warrant a point deduction, but Keith MacDuff continuing to throw knees inside.
Yeah, the knees are very effective, especially for MacDuff because he's got such long levers. You know, that means the knee is traveling a lot more distance, and anyone with basic math is going to tell you those levers do the damage. And again, he goes for that guillotine, and I don't like the strategy here by MacDuff because Busler is such a good job of keeping him on his back. You know, yes, you have the opportunity to choke a guy out, but at the same time, Busler's fighting that off, and MacDuff's putting himself in a non-dominant position.
Yeah, MacDuff choosing to pull guard there, and now he's getting the legs up. Could be looking for a triangle, but in the meantime, as you mentioned, Busler in the more dominant position, holding MacDuff up against the cage. Referee Elvis Lyon right in there looking for any potential submission. Rolling over is Keith MacDuff, securing the arm. Might have worked himself an arm bar if he can get it a little tighter. In the meantime, Rod Busler trying to kick the chest of Keith MacDuff and get him to release it. Just pulling as hard as he can on the arm is Keith MacDuff. Rod Busler shaking his head. And that fight, well, I'm not sure. The fight is over. Rod Busler must have tapped on the other side of us.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there, but, you know, Elvis stopping the fight, and
Rod Busler.
While we wait for the official decision, a big shout out goes to the Estevan EMS, the official ambulance for Hard Knocks 16. Thanks for helping us to keep the Hard Knocks fighters safe in their competitions.
yeah, Keith MacDuff did have that armbar, but it didn't look like he was in a danger position. But, you know, we're going to hear what happened, the official decision. Unfortunately, from our vantage point, we didn't see anything. But, you know, Keith MacDuff ends up being our 145-pound amateur champion.
So Keith MacDuff, the winner in the second round due to armbar submission. We'll just wait for the official word on why the stoppage, although it didn't look as though Rod Busler was happy with the stoppage, although immediately stopped and, you know, immediately let that go and is leaving the cage now.
We have the official decision brought to you by the Tap House. The winner by verbal tap out at 1 minute and 29 seconds in the second round, in the blue corner, Keith the Magician MacDuff!
A verbal tap out, the decision. You can see the smile on Keith MacDuff's face as he gets the title strapped on him by our CEO, Ari
Keith,
Tom.
first off, I gotta ask ya,
talk with Jay Dene.
how does it feel to be a champion?
Fucking awesome.
So you're 4-1 and you're amateur, and you said there was no added pressure for this title fight. 4-0, sorry. And you had no added pressure for this title fight. How did you prepare mentally to come into this tonight?
Listening to these guys right here. That's how this happened. These guys.
So do you have any advice for aspiring fighters breaking into MMA?
Come train with these guys.
And other than these guys, who made it possible for you to be here tonight?
My parents, yeah, parents, friends, everybody who supported me. Family.
Let's hear it again for your champion, Keith MacDuff.
Just want to say one more thing. Hard Knocks needs to make a belt for 135 because I got a buddy right there, and I don't think Hard Knocks has a guy who can beat him.
Again, for your winner, Keith MacDuff.
So Keith MacDuff enjoying the spoils of victory, which includes the photo opportunity with the ring girls and the title belt around his waist. He'll get to keep that.
Keith MacDuff comes out looking as he looks, and I thought he was just going to get munched by his opponent, who actually was a big giant musclehead. And Keith MacDuff proved me wrong. He ended up pulling out a victory. And again, Keith MacDuff is he's a real deal. He's very smart and gets those submission victories. Now training with Anderson Galvis at Elite Training, and Anderson, of course, Canada's only fifth-degree black belt in jiu-jitsu. So not only making that his jiu-jitsu a little bit better, but working on the overall fight game.